These are the voyages of the Mosaic Deluge. Stardate, the 24th of Janio in the year 2010. The captain's blog. In my dream, I was running from something, my calling. And I laid down to rest with a stone for a pillow at a place called Torcello. And in my dream, I had a dream that I was being watched. And in my dream, the clouds in the sky opened up, revealing mountains. And there appeared over my head a bridge connecting heaven and earth, with winged figures ascending and descending the stairs of the bridge. And in my dream, two winged figures, bound together, their arms entwined, descended the staircase with a message for me. And the message said that I was to preach to mankind and to tell them they had been weighed in the balance and found wanting, and that if they did not change their ways, a deluge would come to wash the world of their sins. And I was to preach this message, knowing full well that the world would stay the same. I'd never change it, not as long as the stars shine above. But I wrestled with the message, and I determined in my mind to escape its obligations. When I woke, I was in the harbor, and I took the first ship in the opposite direction from Nineveh, where I had been directed. The ship contained a legion of sailors who, like me, were far away from home and had set their sails in a sea of denial. They accepted me into their company, but the drawing of Jacob's dream would not be erased. And as fate would have it, a storm roiled the seas and threatened to capsize the ship. The sailors, in their fear, cast about for an explanation for their plight, and it was then that I recognized my obligations and confessed my circumstances to them and asked to be thrown overboard so they all might live. They could not at first see the necessity of my plan, but when the storm got even worse, we shared a final toast, and they threw me into the low, and the lonesome low. They threw me in the lonesome sea. And no sooner had I sunk from their sight than did the storm abate. And in an instant, no longer than a man can hold his breath, a giant white sea creature did swallow me up, and I lay in its belly for 3 full days and nights without food or water, air or light. And on the 3rd day, I was wakened by the sound of bells and delivered to the shore, coughed up by the creature to carry my message to those who would listen to the sound of my voice and see in my drawings a way in the world. Then, after many years preaching in the wilderness, a voice came to me and said, "Noah, for that is your name now, This is the captain speaking. I have decided to wash the earth of all but my chosen seed. Prepare yourself and your family for the deluge. Gather together provisions and build an arch to weather the storm. Seek out feathered and fur-bearing creatures, two of every kind, to repopulate the earth with labor and love and respect for her limitless bounty. And then once more I awoke, and I wrote down these words. And I went to my quarters and prepared myself an omelet. Not one of those Venetian omelets with just a little spinach or some ricotta cheese. No, a real omelet with mushrooms and ham and cheese and onions and what we call back in the parlor city a shipwreck. And as I sat down to eat my omelet, I reread what I had written, and I was reminded of another story, a story of a supper in an upper room. And the leader of a group of men stood up after all the toasts had been delivered and said, "I may not be with you forever." And he took a piece of bread and he broke off a portion and he ate it, and he said, "This is my body. Do this in remembrance of me." And then he took a little sip of wine, and he said, "This is my blood. Do this in remembrance of me." And one of his disciples, I'm not exactly sure which one, said, "Oh, sit down, Mary, you're drunk."